All right, let's just jump right into this explainer. I want you to imagine a really familiar scenario. You know that profound, literal, physical relief you feel when you finally sit down for coffee and a genuine laugh with a good friend? You know exactly the moment I'm talking about, right? The conversation is just flowing effortlessly, you're sharing stories, cracking up, and suddenly the weight of the whole world just doesn't feel quite so heavy. Well, today, we're diving into the absolute magic and the hard science behind that exact feeling. And we're going to see how our everyday connections spark a literal biological revolution inside of us.
So ask yourself, why do you actually physically feel lighter after hanging out with someone you care about? Seriously, it is not just your imagination. During these moments, the world just kind of seems brighter. Notice what happens to your body. Your shoulders physically drop down away from your ears. Your breathing gets a lot deeper. Maybe your jaw unclenches. Those massive worries that felt totally insurmountable just a few hours ago, they suddenly seem manageable. It's this beautifully simple, everyday human experience, but it holds an absolutely incredible secret.
And here is where the science gets truly fascinating. That cozy, familiar feeling of relief, it isn't just some fleeting, abstract emotion. It is a profound, highly measurable physiological reaction happening deep inside your very cells. Studies across neurobiology and social psychology are confirming what, honestly, our hearts have always known. When we connect, our biology literally changes for the better. We are completely wired for this. Social connection is an active biological event that rewires our internal state, literally shifting us out of a stressed-out survival mode and into a state of physical healing and restoration.
To really wrap our heads around this, we need to look at a massive shift that's currently happening in modern medicine. Enter the biopsychosocial model. This is a revolutionary, incredibly holistic approach that fundamentally changes how we view health and illness. It officially takes socializing out of that nice-to-have leisure category and drops it right into hard, measurable medical science. This model basically says, hey, a human being isn't just a random collection of organs. Our health is actually a deeply intertwined, dynamic system made up of our biology, our psychology, and our social environment.
And this brilliantly illustrates the stark contrast between how we used to look at the body and how we understand it today. You see, the old medical view treated the body like an isolated machine, right? If a part broke down, you just fix that one part, totally ignoring the rest of the person's life. But the new medical view, it reveals that illness is entirely multidimensional. From the tiniest cells in our body to how we function in our families and our workplaces, our mind, body, and society form this interconnected ecosystem. They're in a perpetual dialogue, where every single element directly impacts the others.
We can literally track this biological need for connection across our entire lifespan. I mean, we are programmed for this from the absolute second we are born. At 0 months old, a baby's cry triggers an instinctual hormonal response in the parents. It's a profound biological mechanism built purely for survival. Fast forward to, say, 30 years old, and our daily social interactions are actively working to reduce toxic, chronic stress in our systems. And as we hit 70 and beyond, engaging in supportive communities has been scientifically proven to lower the risk of cognitive decline and dementia. So this isn't just a phase, it is a lifelong survival mechanism. At the absolute center of all this is a powerful little chemical called oxytocin. You've probably heard of it as the connection hormone. Honestly, think of it as your body's built-in natural medicine. When you share a quick smile or offer an empathetic ear, or even just give someone a warm handshake, your brain is immediately flooded with oxytocin. And this hormone doesn't just make you feel warm and fuzzy on the inside. It acts as a primary catalyst for physical healing throughout your whole body. It regulates your nervous system and promotes a really deep sense of calm.
When that oxytocin is released through positive interaction, it sets off this massive cascade of bodily benefits. We're talking active reductions in stress, anxiety, and depression. It gives a huge boost to your immune system, making you way better equipped to fight off infections. It even reduces the risk of chronic conditions like heart disease and stroke. And get this, if you do happen to get sick, having a strong supportive network actually accelerates your physical recovery and improves your treatment outcomes. We literally have to start looking at social connection as being just as vital to our physical survival as eating well and hitting the gym.
Now, what's really interesting about this breakdown is what researchers found when they analyzed mortality risk factors. It is absolutely shocking. The impact of social isolation and loneliness on our lifespan is just as significant, if not more so, than highly publicized risks like smoking or obesity. Yeah, you heard that right. We're talking about a silent epidemic where a lack of human connection is literally shortening lifespans. Having strong social ties is fundamentally, undeniably linked to living a longer, healthier, and vastly more robust life.
Section 2. The healing power of compassion. Rewiring the brain. So, just as we need that external community interaction, we also desperately need internal grace. I'm talking about the compassion we absolutely must show to ourselves. Because how we treat ourselves internally dictates our biological health just as much as our friendships do. Self-judgment is incredibly toxic. It drives up anxiety, insecurity, and depression. But self-compassion, it helps us distinguish between making a bad decision, which, hey, we all do, and fundamentally being a bad person. By ditching that harsh internal critic, we drastically lower our internal stress levels, replacing all that anxiety with higher emotional intelligence and a much greater satisfaction with life.
And look, this isn't just nice-sounding theory. This is hard neurological evidence. When researchers take MRI scans of people practicing compassion meditation, they don't just see a temporary mood boost. No, they see literal, physical changes in the gray matter of the brain. There's increased activity in the centers responsible for emotion regulation and enhanced empathy networks. Even more wild, practicing compassion results in measurable drops in interleukin-6, which is a key marker for dangerous physical inflammation. So literally, kindness is acting as an anti-inflammatory drug inside your body. How cool is that?
Of course, we have to acknowledge the reality we live in right now. We are in this hyper-digital, incredibly fast-paced world where we frequently find ourselves staring at glowing screens instead of looking into the eyes of the people around us. Because of this, genuine social connection rarely just happens by accident anymore. It requires a deliberate, conscious prescription. We have to actively work to cultivate and protect these biological lifelines, mostly because our modern environment is actively pulling us away from them. So, how do we take immediate control of our biopsychosocial health? Well, the research points us to 4 highly actionable steps. Step 1. Choose quality over quantity. A few deep, meaningful relationships are vastly superior to a massive, superficial social network. Step 2. Prioritize face-to-face interactions. Look, digital communication is great, but physical, in-person contact provides the absolute richest social stimulus for your brain. Step 3. Practice active, empathetic listening. It dramatically deepens the bond. And step 4, engage in community volunteering. Helping others is a massive catalyst for creating meaningful, health-boosting connections. We are facing a silent epidemic of loneliness, but the good news is, you now know that you hold the biological cure. Investing in your social life isn't just a nice, fun thing to do for your weekend, it is an absolute medical necessity for your lifelong health. So I want to leave you with this challenge. Knowing what you know now about how your cells, your brain, and your immune system literally crave interaction, what is one way you will prescribe yourself connection today? Seriously, who are you going to text, call, or grab a coffee with right now? Your body is waiting for that connection. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and go write that prescription.